So without further ado, let's just jump into episode 1. So episode 1 starts off with, I think, a pretty big bang. First of all, they did this really great summary of the prequel trilogy. They did this montage of all of the story of the prequel trilogy, and they really summed it up beautifully. It really set the tone. It set the stage for where we were going to be in the galaxy far, far away this time around. And then they kick us off. They drop us right in to Order 66. And this was a banger. I loved that they started off. When we cut to those kids and their Jedi leader training them, I was like waiting for those stormtroopers to come in. And sure enough, there they were. You see the Jedi fighting back. You see the massacre. It really just helped to really set the tone and get us to where the galaxy is going to be. Because then they cut 10 years later, and we see that the Jedi are being hunted, and we get introduced to the Inquisitors. Primarily, we get introduced to Moses Ingram's Reva here, and I really liked the opening scene of this show. It just really established the despair and the fear that the Jedis were living in. I love the way that the Inquisitors just went into the cantina looking for the Jedis, and they knew how to get the Jedis out, because, as they say, the Jedi code, it's like an itch. So they start terrorizing people in the cantina because the Jedis just can't help themselves. They have to help the people. I love that she throws that dagger and he uses the Force. That Jedi hiding in the cantina uses the Force to stop that dagger from cutting that girl's neck. And that's how the Inquisitors get him, man. And we see Reva here. She starts putting that lightsaber in his shoulder. The Grand Inquisitor stops her from doing it, and that Jedi's on the run. It was just a beautifully set up scene. I thought they established the tone of this show so beautifully throughout this entire opening sequence. And then we met Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan 10 years later. I really loved what they did with Obi-Wan in this first episode. I loved that you felt how isolated he was. You felt the defeat that he was going through, since he is the reason that the Jedi lost, or he feels a lot of responsibility for the Empire rising, which is one of the things I really, really wanted to see. If you watched my 5 things that I wanted to see in Obi-Wan video, this was high on the list, and they gave it to me, and it was beautiful. I loved how we got kind of like a look at his everyday life when he's not at work, when he's not taking the bus to work or taking the bus from work. He is, or when he's not looking after Luke Skywalker, he's just at home in his cave, lonely. No one but a Jawa as a friend. It was just so awesome, and I loved how they really showed the haunting and just how much the defeat of the Jedi has haunted Obi-Wan throughout these years. I loved the nightmare sequence that we got with him when he was alone in his cave at night. We go from the setup of Obi-Wan, we see where he's at, and then this surprised me. This I wasn't expecting to get at all. We cut to Alderaan, and here's Leia. Little itty bitty 10-year-old Leia. I don't know if I don't know if that actress is actually 10 years old. I didn't look that up beforehand, but we get a setup with Leia, and I was really taken aback by that. I was like, huh, Leia. I wonder what we're doing with Leia. And I had no idea that they were going to have such a focus on Leia, that Leia was going to be the main subject, the main MacGuffin, if you want to, of the mission that Obi-Wan was going to have to go on. At first, and I still am kind of toying with this in my mind, it's kind of going back and forth for me. At first, I was like, well, that's interesting that she's being kidnapped and Obi-Wan's going to go save her, because I didn't think that Leia ever met Obi-Wan until A New Hope. Because if you watch the New Hope, the message that she originally sends is, General Kenobi, years ago you once aided my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs for your help once again, and help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. That's the gist of it. And for like 19 years at the most, anyways, I've always interpreted that message as if she was talking to like a family friend that she had heard about, where it's like, hey, I heard that you did these great things for my father once. He needs your help again. I'm reaching out to you in desperation. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. I didn't take that as, hey, Obi-Wan, when I was kidnapped as a child and we hung out and you saved me and all that stuff, like I need your help again. Like, can you come rescue me? So like I that kind of took me aback a little bit. I was like, does that work canonically with the character calling out to Obi-Wan for hope? But I'm getting over it. It's not a real big deal. But yeah, Leia's in this show. She gets kidnapped, And that's what brings Obi-Wan out of his despair because he has to go and save Leia. We get a really great interaction with Owen and Obi-Wan as he's like, "Hey, stop looking over Luke, you creep." And Obi-Wan's like, "He has to be trained one day." And he burns him like, "Oh, you mean like how you trained his father? Like that kind of trained?" And then you got Reva in here. She comes in with the Inquisitors. Owen stands his ground, man. I was like, I would not be able to do that. I would not be standing my ground to an Inquisitor who's got a lightsaber next to my neck. Owen's a boss. It's such a shame that he just gets like fried up later on. And then, of course, Obi-Wan, to end the episode, there's this Jedi that comes earlier in the episode who's like pleading for Obi-Wan's help. And he's like, I'm being hunted, I'm being chased, you got to help me. And Obi-Wan's like, you want my help? Here's my help. You have to go hide your lightsaber in the sand and just drop it. Like, don't even let anyone know you're a Jedi. We lost. The fight's over. Get out of here. And later on, that same Jedi, well, he's strung up by his neck. He's hung in front of the whole city on Tatooine, wherever they are. And that's what puts the fire back in Obi-Wan, because originally when Bail Organa and his wife call out to him, asking him to go get Leia, he's like, I'm not doing this. Find someone else. You got the wrong guy. I'm not willing to do this. I'm not ready to go back. I've got to stay with the boy. I got to watch over Luke. And they're like, well, Leia's just as important as Luke. Like, you can't just like pick the boy over the girl, kind of like how they did. But they had to be split up, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, Obi-Wan's like, no, I'm out of the game. I have to stay for the boy. I'm not doing this. And then that Jedi gets strung up, and you see it change Obi-Wan. He's like, I got to do something for this girl. And so he goes into the desert. I thought this was really cool. He goes to the desert. Don't know how exactly he found exactly where he put this box, but he's got two lightsabers. I'm assuming one of them is Anakin's. He takes his lightsaber out of the box, and I'm pretty sure that's the same box that he will present the lightsaber to Luke in A New Hope when he's given him Anakin's lightsaber. I picked up on that right away. I was like, that's really cool. I just thought it was really cool. So yeah, episode 1 did a really great job, I thought, of laying the groundwork, introducing us to the characters that we were going to be following throughout this series, introducing us to Obi-Wan, where he's at now, his mindset, the haunting of his loss, of Anakin, of the Jedi Council. There's also really fascinating stuff. He's reaching out to Master Qui-Gon. In like the beginning of this episode, he's calling out to Master Qui-Gon. So you know Liam Neeson is going to be in this series at one point or another, because they keep setting it up. Ever since the first episode, they've set up he's going to pop in. So as far as episode 1 went, I was very satisfied with it. It was slower moving, which is what I wanted for the first episode. Just reintroduce us to Obi-Wan, show this once great Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, now just working in a meat factory, cutting up meat, taking some home so that he can feed himself. I thought it was all brilliantly done, and I really enjoyed episode 1.